Hello, everyone. We're very happy to be in front of such a large audience today. It makes a big difference, really, with some of the sessions or the BIM meeting that we've had over the last 3 years. It's increasing. I think it's doubling every time. Yeah? I mean, as far as I can see from here. I'm even happier to be here today with one of our most, how can I put it, most wonderful customers or clients, the city of Quebec, because BIM is a matter of collaboration first and foremost. If we don't work as a team, in this case, in tandem, we don't succeed. It's as simple as that. And that is why we are presenting together. And in fact, we're going to talk about BIM for construction, what we did for this wonderful Quebec Amphitheatre project, and a bit for building management and use. And also we're going to talk about a structure, a project that we use for infrastructure, which we did for this project, and all of that as we try to highlight the benefits for our clients, for the owner. So over to Jean Rochette. So hello everyone. Just to tell you a little bit about the project, we are at present at 82% progress, and we still think we'll finish within our budget and September 15th, and we'll turn the keys over to the building manager. Simply to give you an idea of what the project represents, it's an 18,000-seat amphitheater or arena. There is 6,500 seats on the main level, and there are also retractable seats, corporate lodges with 1,500 seats. And then we can have 2,000 more seats when there are shows, and so the capacity can vary between 18 to 20,000 seats. The complexity of this project comes from the integration of specialized equipment. Simply to give you an idea, and these are figures, and there's much more than that, but there are 640 television screens that will be integrated and 1,000 speakers. Without, talking about the broadcasting system, video system on ice, the lighting system. And we've seen it with the Pomerleau people, especially the superintendent, who is very good. But when we told them, look, we need to integrate the equipment as well, that's part of the work. It's the complexity of the building also comes into the integration of specialized equipment, which today an arena, an amphitheater of this sort, it's not just a power ring, and a main indicator panel. I mean, there's a Wi-Fi, there's 3G, a lot of technological equipment. So when you go into the amphitheater, your cell phones will work same as outside. It's a building which is simple because it just ring with seats around, but complex because there's a lot of equipment that can be added. If we look at the context of the project, it's the project that has made the biggest splash in the headlines in Quebec. I'll just give you an example. When I buy a new shirt, it appears in the newspapers, okay? It's very difficult to manage. We do have a commitment, you have certainly heard of it, and to not go over the 400 million budgeted. We have a mayor that keeps a close eye on these things, does a good job of it. And also we have desire to make it an educational project, make it a project that is also a model. Before moving on to the next slide, that Ivanka will lead us into, well, I can do it, okay, if I may? Okay. Well, the first line is for us to convince the customer, the client. How do we do that? As soon as Pomerleau entered into the project, and here we must understand that Pomerleau is our construction manager, and he came in July 2012. It came in. We already had the plans started. We had a first contractor who came in September 2012 for the excavation and planting the beams. Now, Pomerleau said that it'd be good to do a BIM construction, and I didn't hesitate very long. The main difficulty is really to convince. I mean, we give out jobs as such. We are a city, and the people who decide in the city is the executive committee. It's a city council. They're not engineers or architects, or if there are some, they are not people who are really up to date on the construction developments. That's important because Ivanka says, okay, that you have doubled here, you still have to be tenacious for it to continue, because I had the good fortune, and I was asked, why should we pay as much for a software? And there I had to show that it was an approach. And the approach is simple. We live in a three-dimensional space, and when something is explained to us, it's always better understood if it's shown in 3 dimensions. That's why we have mock-ups. That's why we, and I was looking at the Enfant Jésus hospital that do, life-size models, because people understand better in 3D. And simply to end on this point, it's understood within the city. We have shown that it was really profitable and proper to do it that way. And we're even going to bring BIM into operation and maintenance. We will use the BIM model that we have developed for those purposes for it to come into maintenance and operations. And at this point, the authorities of the city of Quebec no longer even question it. It's proper to do it, and it's better to do it that way. So we need to be tenacious. And if I compare that to the sustainable development and energy efficiency of the 1990s, there was a lot of work. I mean, you'll never do that alone. You need people. You need to convince people. The SHRE, which is an association that many know here, before going into sustainable development and energetic efficiency, it took a long time. Today, we will lead silver as an amphitheater, and that, I must tell you, has become common practice because people have come on board, the SHRE has come on board, and the idea is to present it everywhere you can in order to sell BIM as well. Well, thank you. Yes, and that leads me to the next point, the advantages of collaboration. When we had this desire to use BIM for this wonderful project, we had divided things into 2 elements, BIM for construction and BIM for operations. But initially, it was too soon to speak of management and operations. We weren't ready to go quite as far. And everything that we succeeded in selling to our client initially was BIM as an insurance policy for quality, cost, time for the project. And that's when Jean then was able to convince the board of directors or the council of the city. It took a while, but finally things worked out well. Pomerleau's mandate is to lead or to manage the construction itself in terms of health and safety on the work site. But more than that, they had a supplementary BIM mandate for the construction and coordination of physical systems. That is a picture. I mean, it's a few months old already, but it's a real thing. It's not a model here. Now here, I'll tell you a little bit how we went about accomplishing this task. This is the federated model. And there may be some systems missing here, but as of today, we have really all the disciplines, skills, and crafts integrated into here. And the person who manages all that on field, and Christian is here, and I must give him full credit because he lives in a digital world on a daily basis, and with Mikael and again. Now, how then did we start? Well, given that a BIM was not required from the very beginning, we needed, once we started working with this we needed to develop a BIM management plan for the project. And then we had at that point, we simply had drawings, designs, even we didn't have any models as such, even if some had been made, but given that they were not obliged to give them to us, we didn't have them. So we started by doing a model for the concrete. The city, as a customer, was able to give us the architect's models, and from engineering as well. And we took those models, we audited them, and we had a look to see if we could build on from their quality, and that led us to a more advanced level in order to use it for construction. Everything that is mechanical, engineering, and electrical, we wanted to coordinate in 3D before putting all of that under construction and before the specialized consultants would come into the project. Now here we say, okay, transferring 3D models to the trays and tracking changes, modifying and adapting models to reflect actual construction progress. Maybe here Jean can add the city's point of view, but how I experienced that, we wrote, how can I phrase it, the addendums for call for tenders. That's how we proceeded, and where we said that we required BIM from the consultants and the subcontractors. So then we had the name of people who had the contracts, and there was no one there who knew what BIM was. So imagine they had to. They said, okay, we'll work with BIM. Maybe they Googled it and they figured out what it was, but they had no experience really. So all of that to say, when there's a will, there is a way. If people are motivated, even on a project as huge as this one, we can reach a level along with the help of partners and do some good work. Because that's what happened finally. I don't know. No, that's perfect. Yeah, we experienced that the same way. All right, fine. And this wasn't rehearsed. Okay. So once the consultants and professionals worked with us, and they continued to develop these models, and many of these models were completely transformed. I mean, there are some lessons learned along the way, of course, for us as well. But finally, we would replace these construction models from the federated model. And as of today, we have a model that is completely as built, I must say, along with the integrated build models. And then with the modifications, the changes, the model itself evolved. Because otherwise, we can no longer refer to the model, and then you cannot have an as-built evaluation at the end. Then, of course, we had coordination from the different electromechanical interdisciplines, and with a very close examination of all the different, and with processes that you probably know well. Today, therefore, we have a 3D model that is being finalized. So we have an as-built model. And then the consultants, professionals participated as much as we did because we've each had our job, our work to do. Now, how do you convert the specialized consultants or professionals? Well, we've worked a lot with these people. There was already some requirements in the contract. We said they need to use BIM, but they didn't know what was going to happen if they didn't do BIM. So I don't know if they were going to be punished or what. So they were very motivated, and we needed to exchange how they were really going to benefit from this new approach, not just from a competitive standpoint, but also with true monetary advantages and quality of work and so on. Many presentations in group and individually in order to be able to show the benefits, very concrete for each subtrade, to give them advice, to coach them, accompany them. All of that are part of the best practices that we had, and that we wanted to transfer over to them. And of course, coordination meetings where everybody had to participate. That was a basic requirement. Now here, I'll turn it over to you. We have a video. No? Oop, what's going on? Can we click on the picture itself? One more time. It should launch. It was supposed to work, and every time I tried it, it didn't work. So, because you'll be able to see it if you go onto the City of Quebec internet site. It is available. It's made to be viewed, and in fact, it's a dynamic modeling of what was done with the steel structure. If you could find it, I would like to be able to play it. Yeah, I was told that it worked yesterday, so I didn't even bother checking. We'll do as on they do a TV during the newscast. We'll move on to the next news item. All right. And there was music in it. Okay, fine. Now, let's talk about what is important to understand is that the amphitheater was built within a site that was called Expo City in Quebec. And it's a site that there's already the Pepsi Coliseum, the Youth Pavilion, and other. So our challenge was to do site management within a space that is very much alive, and where the city was also doing works in every street surrounding the site, around the perimeter of the site. So the BIM coordination with Expo City and other works around the amphitheater were done with the BIM approach. There was management of materials on the site, the management of deliveries and circulation on the site, and also to ensure health and security and health and safety. You will understand that every site becomes a different unit where we need to manage health and safety, and to have, for example, one way in and one exit out, at least. And we did that by using and learning the BIM approach. And then, and I find this is a picture that shows what BIM does, just in a very quick manner. What you see up on top is what was modeled and worked on with each of the professionals before it started. And then what you see at the bottom is the result, and we did not have to start over. So the contractors, yes, it's got to be in their contract, but they saw the advantage that was in it for them in working with BIM. Finally, it's to minimize the objective, to minimize the efficiencies and facilitate immediate corrections before other errors occur, and it detects clashes beforehand, you know that. And what we asked, and I advise you, is to do the same as we asked Pomerleau, like Sébastien is doing that, is to do a BIM report that we put on our monthly report. And I guarantee you that we put every month in the monthly report that the authorities do read it. They get finally to understand it and integrate it in how they view things. And it's very important. We say what we do, we report on what we do with that tool, and it can be useful. Well, it makes it that we don't have to explain in great length what we are doing. Technologies. We use what you see here on the screen. You probably know that. This is a gigantic iPad. We explained it that way to people. It's to look at all the display plans and so on in a very friendly user manner, easy to use. So you could display the plans in PDF, you can make annotations, and then you can go on the site. And with the tablets, I really like the iPads, the tablets, because people have integrated that very much into their practice. And we could see superintendents from Pomerleau, but also engineers come on with their tablets. No longer a pad and pencil. They had their tablet. They would look at it together. And so this tool, having the model, I mean, you bring them onto the site. Our speaker mentioned it earlier this afternoon. It is very important to have this technology and to use it, because even those who were older or maybe less used to it did it and integrated it into their practice. So it's important, and I always say, I mean, I'm not a BIM specialist, but if you want to integrate BIM into the practices, people need to use the BIM. How do you use it? Well, if it costs you 5 iPads more, I don't know, how many did we buy for the city? Anyway, we did buy some in order to carry the model around, and it was important to sell the approach. BIM and last planner system, in fact, the last planner system, if we can summarize what last planner system does, it all the consultants and professionals get around the table, have some deadlines and set up and have a work plan of what they need to do first week, second week, third week. To identify potential clashes, and it verifies, and that's important, it verifies that every entrepreneur is ready to do the work that has been planned. So if it's an electrician or a specialist in ventilation, you got to make sure they've got the manpower to do it, and that they do it when it's time for them to come into play. And that's important. That defines the work sequences, and it defines how the jobs follow each other to get to a result that is efficient. And that doesn't save money, but it saves a lot of time, and since time is money, it ends up saving money. Okay. And we measured with percent plan complete, the PPC, percent plan complete. That tells us that what we've planned and whether we're good at it. And we give ourselves targets. I was going to say that in English, targets. And that's what is very important, that the PPC, we have it in a monthly report. And if we notice the trend of the PPC, I did it this morning before coming here, it increases since the beginning of the site. So it's not a coincidence if our PPC increases, it's because the contractors were forced to integrate it, and you have to sort of force them, but they saw that it was to their advantage in using it over time. Now, I'm going to skip rather quickly over this because these are the benefits of project costs. When we work beforehand as opposed to after, I mean, then there are fewer clashes, you save money. But we say... So we manage clashes, or conflicts prior to construction. And that helps the professionals to not fight, because we want to make sure nobody loses money. And I don't see why they wouldn't do it that way. Everyone saves money, and that's what's important. The engineers, the architects, the contractors, the owner, all must save money, and BIM is a good vehicle for that. And the intangible, well, if we come in within budget and within our deadlines, one of the important vectors, not the only one, is the use of BIM in our project. Project management, well, I'll repeat it. It's once again the same thing. It's the last sentence, visible improvement to the execution quality and reduction to extras. On the site, as my mom would say, let's play in harmony. The accordion sounds so much better. They don't fight amongst each other. You don't need to go get a foreman every time there's a problem. The employees, the workers themselves know what they need to do. It was managed beforehand, and things are done properly. Let me give you, in closing, benefits for the client. You can see them here on the slide, but there's an example that occurred when we came to do the cooling or refrigeration room for the ice. I mean, there was a 2D plan, and the professional was saying, what's on the 2D plan, because it was a rather small refrigerating room for the equipment that was there. He says it didn't work, it's too small, he wanted his own model, and we could see that it was going to create delays, and we knew that within the professional contracts, the mechanics needed to give us a 3D model, and we required it from engineering. And I was at the meeting, I don't go to all meetings, but that meeting I felt that we were starting to lose our deadlines, especially important with regard to the ice in the rink. So when we were able to speak to them, it was instant. I don't know, Sébastien, we were there. We opened the plans. They saw the 3D plans. Well, the meeting didn't even last half an hour. People agreed, and then the professional agreed that it was the best solution possible. Both saw the advantage that they had, and that's what I wanted to highlight in terms of benefits. But it's an example that expresses very well the best value and optimize costs and schedule, better quality, and most of all, and Ivanka is what you were talking about, available data for O&M. I'll try to speed it up a bit. So this is a very important or interesting graph, which differs from what we normally see on productivity. This is an explanation of how, in the traditional profile, we lose more and more money as we go further into the project, and how BIM, which is the process that you see on top, which forms an unbroken line, enables us to save that money, which represents time and money lost in every cut in the project. So we're going to try here with our last step of work on BIM with the City of Quebec to save that amount of money, the big circle that you saw at the end, big red circle. To do that, you need a good understanding of the customer's needs. You can't decide to do BIM for building management or maintenance or operations without understanding what the customer expects of his systems. So the first trials that we did to transfer BIM data for the facility management, it was through Economist, through one of our partners at UBC. We used that, so we worked with them. And afterwards, we realized that the city of Quebec already uses a building operation system, so maximum, so we're not going to get them to change. Yeah, it's so hard to implement. So, and they have another system, Ar- Ar- Archie data, for the management of space. Now, with the different interviews that we held with the city, we realized that the city of Quebec uses about 15% of its maximum capacity. And those people who, of Maximo, sorry, capacities of Maximo, and those who do realize that they use Maximo at a very low level, and then that it has much more potential than that, except that they don't have the data, they don't have this power of the data that will enable them to use it more. And so today, data entry is manual, it takes months to do, and so on and so forth. And it's done from drawings are not even as built, and so on. Now, and then the manual, the updates are also manual. That's how the information is assembled today and how it'll be done within a few months. The possibility of having 3D and with the communication connected to each object, on each equipment, on each space in 3D, this documentation will eventually be on the city's SharePoint, where they share their documents. On the other hand, given that most of the maintenance managers and so on are not used to working in 3D, they can, of course, continue to work in their traditional manner with their interfaces that you saw earlier of Maximo and tables and the ones that they're used to working with. Now, what will that enable them to do? Well, you can see considerable shortened time for data input and validation, much shortened. It's not even done on their side, it'll be more on our side. The data is really the most up-to-date, they're precise and up-to-date. Everything is going to correspond to built reality. They'll be able to activate other Maximo modules that they were not using, and also apply health and safety measures, which are part of the City of Quebec's standards, which you couldn't activate at Maximo for various reasons. And finally, something that is particular with regards to this project, because the City of Quebec is the owner but not the operator of the building, and so in 30 years, I don't know, you'll get that back, right? Okay. And so in order not to have any surprises, which they've had with other projects, they can always keep an eye on what is going on with regards to the operator. And for a few months now, we've also spoke to the operator. So we will be working three-way between owner, ourselves, and the operator in order to have something that makes sense with regards to the functioning. Afterwards, it'll be the same database that will be used for the operator in City of Quebec, ideally, okay? And it will save the City of Quebec certain audits and surveys and visits onto site, which they would have needed to do if there had not been a common database. So, money and time saved. I know I have very little time. I will simply show you a few pictures. In fact, the step, the pathway to BIM in terms of construction. So there's an audit, finalization, and model parametrication, and then a transfer. And as you've seen this earlier, it's just a reminder. And finally, the 3D interface that we could use even on iPad if necessary. We can walk around with the iPad in the building and either use directly. You can click on the object and get the information directly there. I can tell you that the management and operation department is very motivated to go forward with this. With Tremblay, who's also project manager somewhere. Where is he? He really wants to get into that as well, and has become a BIMmer as well. That is something that we are coming to fruition, and that will increase your benefits in the use of this project. So that's it. I don't want to take any more time. We could extend these uses to other departments of the City of Quebec, space management and so on. But we'll see. We'll see later for that. And finally, a diagram that more generally will show at Pomerleau. In fact, it's a project life cycle, design build, what we take under our responsibility when we work on BIM projects. So we start by what the architect and the client gives us. We're looking at functional programming and all the other uses that you've seen to arrive at a management of the equipment at the end. Okay, and now the takeaway. It's just a few figures here with regards to advantages for the client. We're going to focus on that. We think that during construction, the client can save up to around 7% of the project value. And during the operation, well, we don't have data for that yet. And last message, BIM is really an effort that starts prior to the project, and we probably will need to change the way that the professionals are paid so that they can have their share, a proper share of the pie, because it's for them to give us the first models. That is something that doesn't always happen. So in the name of this collaboration and this optimization and this quality that is sought, we must all work to improve the contractual framework. There you go. Thank you. Jerry, do you have the video ready to go? We will see it finally. No, no more music. Where'd it go? I wanted to congratulate you. It's really a very interesting presentation and a very motivating one. Yeah, maybe you can run it during break. Okay, we're going to continue with another session of a short presentation. Jerry? I don't know who is next.